the biography of Obama from David Moranis contains some great stuff about Obama's pot smoking days back in Kenya/Hawaii, where he grew up. By the way, that relevant again, Donald Trump not letting it go. So he, Moranis talked to his some girlfriends and buddies, and there's a great excerpt of Barack Obama, the story. It's going to be published in June next month. But basically, when Obama and his friends would sit around and they'd pass a joint, which is a thing I've actually never done, but I've seen it in movies. That's apparently what you weed smokers do.
Intercept.
Right. And that's what Obama would say. He'd like cut it off, take his joint out, his hit out of turn, and yell, "Intercepted!"
No, that's a great story for 18 different reasons. One is that you see Obama before he became the incredibly overly mature guy that he is. You cannot get that guy to say anything exciting. You know, back when he was campaigning, he had great speeches. Now he's like, he'll take half an hour to make the simplest point because he doesn't want to get anything wrong. I love the idea of Barack Obama being the fun guy who jumps into the middle of the line like, intercepted, I'm taking the next hit.
I expect he's like that now, still out of the cover of the cameras. Brian Williams did a sort of a long-form piece on Obama where he spent a couple of days in the White House early on in the term. And you could see him talking about football. He's walking around throwing a basketball in the Oval Office. You could see that there was just this sort of kind of joshing about ball scores from the night before. It seemed like a very relaxed guy. I'm sure there's an element of that.
But he's so political now that I feel like even if he does a basketball or a football shot, that it's almost staged. Like, oh, remember when the Kennedys were throwing around football?
You're right.
You're
right. The cameras were on, but I just feel like there's something in there still.
I guess so. I mean, back then he was called Barry Obama, and Ben and I had the same thought. Like, I'd like to hang out with Barry. Like, Barry sounds cool. So what's TA, Ben? What is it?
TA was also that's total absorption, where if you didn't get the hit fully into your lungs, you were penalized. You got a TA penalty, and you were skipped the next time around, unless you intercepted.
Exactly.
Unless you
didn't really matter if he didn't get TA because he got an INT.
When you were with Barry and his pals, if you exhaled precious pakalolo, Hawaiian slang for marijuana, meaning numbing tobacco, instead of absorbing it fully into your lungs, you were assessed a penalty. Your turn was skipped the next time the joint came around. They also point out that even though Barry was the notorious interceptor, like he was always doing that, that it was like that was his thing. They liked him for it. It wasn't like a Barry again with the interception.
Right. So as I was reading that, I thought I would never get to smoke any pot because I'd screw it up, right? Like anytime that my friend who has tried it in the past would do it, he'd get like 1% into his lungs and be like, and like all over the place. I would have never made it in Barry's cool crowd.
Other great thing that he did was Moranis also describes, it says here, Obama's technique of roof hits.
Okay. Boy.
You're engaging in
this?
Roof hits. This is a guy who really wants to get high.
Roof
hits.
Hit?
It says hot boxing cars. I don't know what that means either. When the pot was gone, they tilted their heads back and sucked in the last bit of smoke.
Well, that's hotboxing cars when you put all the windows up.
Oh, right. Okay, so
right.
So then when they were out of weed, when there was no more
grass,
when there was no more pakalolo,
right?
They would. So then, when you hotbox the car, you then tilt your head up to the roof of the car and breathe in the last remnants of smoke.
That's interesting. So he apparently did this, he describes it in his book too, saying, look, I did it with the brothers that I played ball with, I did it with the white kids in their sparkling clean vans, I did it with the Hawaiian kids who dropped out of school, and he did this all through Occidental College apparently, and then when he got to Columbia, he said, then I started living like a monk. And then by the time he gets to Harvard Law School, you can see he's already the politician. Remember that speech that the Republicans made a big deal about, where he's introducing the law professor, and he sounds like the most grown-up politician you've ever seen in your life. So if we could rewind the clock, I think I'd really be into Barry Obama and hanging out with him.